There are people making monthly payments on a car they are not allowed to drive. Not because it is in the shop, not because someone borrowed it, because the manufacturer told them not to start it. Do not charge it. Do not park it inside your house. And the bank is still charging them. The insurance is still running. The loan does not care. This is happening right now to real people with real payments. And the full story is a lot more absurd than it sounds from the outside. But before we get to the bottom of all this, there is something you need to understand. This is not one case. It is three. Three different brands, three different problems, and all three end up in the exact same place, you unable to use your vehicle, and the bank completely unbothered. Let's start with the oldest one. The one that has been destroying lives the longest without most people ever hearing its name. Takata. If that name does not ring a bell, there is a good chance you have one of their products in your car right now and you do not know it. Takata made airbags. Those devices are designed to inflate in milliseconds and save your life in a crash. The problem is that in millions of vehicles, those airbags did not just inflate. They exploded, literally. They launched metal shrapnel at extremely high speeds directly toward the driver and passengers. This was not a minor defect. This was the largest vehicle recall in the history of the automotive industry. More than 67 million vehicles in the United States alone. More than 100 million worldwide. 27 confirmed deaths. Hundreds of documented injuries. In some cases, manufacturers did not just tell owners to bring it in soon. They said something much more serious. Do not drive. Do not start this vehicle. Do not move it. And what happened to the payments? Nothing. They kept coming. Some owners waited months, in some cases more than a year, because the dealerships didn't have the replacement parts. Supply couldn't keep up. And while all of that was being sorted out, they had an unusable vehicle sitting in the driveway and a monthly payment that didn't wait for anyone. Some called the bank. Some called their insurance company. Almost none of them got a satisfying answer. Because technically, the vehicle existed. Technically, it was theirs. Technically, the contract said they had to pay. The fact that the manufacturer had declared it dangerous was not, according to the financial system's logic, anyone else's problem. Now here's the part that doesn't get talked about enough. Takata didn't just make airbags for one or two brands. They supplied almost every major automaker on the planet. Honda, Toyota, Ford, BMW, Chrysler, Subaru, Nissan, Mazda. If you bought a car between 2000 and 2015, there is a real possibility that vehicle had a Takata inflator inside it. The defect didn't care what badge was on the hood. It didn't care if the car was a luxury sedan or a basic commuter. It just needed moisture, time, and a crash to turn a safety device into a weapon. And the reason the recall took so long, in some cases stretching over a decade, wasn't just about parts availability. It was about priority. Regulators classified vehicles by risk level. The ones most likely to explode got fixed first. The lower risk ones waited, which sounds reasonable until you realize that lower risk still meant there was a risk, and the owners of those lower risk vehicles still couldn't drive them. And the payment still came every month. That alone should make you stop and think. But we are not done. In 2023, Ford issued an official "Do Not Drive" warning for certain Bronco Sport and Maverick models due to a brake system defect that could leave the driver without proper braking capability. The Maverick is a compact pickup truck. The Bronco Sport is a small SUV, built for city driving and some light off-road use. And the defect was serious enough that Ford did not say schedule an appointment when you get a chance. They said, do not drive it. Period. The problem is that the warning went out to tens of thousands of owners at the same time. The dealerships were not ready. Some owners waited weeks to get an appointment. Others lived in areas where the nearest dealer was an hour away. And during all of that, the car sat still. Who paid for that? The owner, like always. Ford offered loaner vehicles in some cases, but it was not universal. It was not immediate, and it did not compensate for what it feels like to buy a brand new vehicle, sign up for payments over 5 or 6 years, and then find out you cannot use it because the manufacturer admitted it left the factory broken. Here's what makes the Ford situation particularly frustrating. These weren't old vehicles with hundreds of thousands of miles on them. The Maverick launched in 2021. The Bronco Sport in 2021. These were nearly new vehicles. Some owners had barely finished their first year of payments when the Do Not Drive notice arrived in the mail. They weren't dealing with wear and tear. They were dealing with a factory defect on a vehicle that still smelled new. And that matters because the financial math gets brutal fast. You're paying insurance on a car you can't move. You're paying a loan on a vehicle that legally you shouldn't be operating. If you're in a one-car household, you now have to figure out how to get to work, pick up your kids, and run your life without the vehicle you budgeted for. Some people rented cars out of pocket. Some borrowed from family. Some just couldn't. And none of that showed up as a credit on the next statement. This is where I need you to slow down for a second. Because what we're describing isn't bad luck. It's a pattern. It's what happens when financing systems, manufacturers, and regulators are not designed to protect the buyer. They are designed to protect the money flow. And the money flow does not stop because your car is dangerous. The third case is different. It is not a mechanical failure in the traditional sense. It is new technology that nobody fully understood before they started selling it. Jeep launched plug-in hybrid versions of their most popular models, the Wrangler 4xe and the Grand Cherokee 4xe. A plug-in hybrid means the vehicle has a gasoline engine and a battery you can charge at home, like a phone, to run on electricity for the first several miles before the gas engine kicks in. The idea is to spend less on fuel, produce fewer emissions, and save money over time. The problem was specific. Samsung supplied the high-voltage battery cells. And in certain batches, the internal separators, the thin layer that keeps the positive and negative sides of each cell from touching, were damaged during manufacturing. When that separator fails, the cell can short-circuit and catch fire. Stellantis, the company that owns Jeep, has documented 19 fires connected to this defect. 9 of those 19 happened in vehicles that had already received an earlier fix, a software update that was supposed to detect the problem before a fire started. The patch did not work. And this is now the third recall for the same problem in 3 years. So Jeep issued 2 very specific instructions. First, do not charge the vehicle. Not at home, not at a public charging station. Second, and this is the one that really gets you, do not park it in an enclosed space. Not in a garage, not in a basement, not in a covered parking structure. Because if the battery fails in an enclosed area, the fire can spread before anyone has time to react. Think about what that means. They sold you a vehicle with the promise that you could charge it in your garage and save money on gas. This is now the third time they have admitted the same problem is not fixed. And the answer is still, do not charge it. Do not put it in the garage. How much is that vehicle worth right now? How much is the promise worth that you paid for? Some of those Jeep owners paid $40,000 to $45,000. Some financed it over 72 months. 6 years of payments on a vehicle that cannot do the main thing it was sold to do. And there is another layer here that nobody talks about. Resale value. The moment a do not drive or do not charge notice goes public, the value of that vehicle drops. Private buyers do not want it. Dealerships lowball it on trade-in. Certified pre-owned programs flag it. So not only are you stuck with a vehicle you cannot use, you are also stuck with a vehicle that is worth less than it was yesterday. You are losing money on both ends, the payment going out and the value going down. And here is the real problem, the one nobody is talking about enough. When a manufacturer issues a do not drive or a do not charge warning, the legal situation is a lot murkier than it looks. The manufacturer covers the cost of the repair when parts are available, but in most cases, they are not legally required to compensate you for the time you could not use the vehicle. They are not required to pause your loan. They cannot tell the bank to wait. And the bank has a signed contract and no obligation to care whether your car is sitting idle because of a recall, the official term for when a manufacturer acknowledges a defect and orders vehicles in for correction. The result is that thousands of people found themselves in exactly this situation, unable to drive the car, unable to charge it, unable to park it in their own garage, still paying the monthly note, still paying the insurance premium, and getting nothing in return. That is not a glitch in the system. That is the system working exactly as it was designed, just not for you. So what can you actually do if this happens to you? More than most people realize, though less than it should ever have to be. First, when your vehicle is under one of these warnings, you have the right to demand a loaner vehicle from the dealership for the duration of the repair. They do not always offer it without being asked. Sometimes you have to push. If they tell you none are available, ask them to put that in writing and request a rental reimbursement instead. That conversation alone changes the dynamic. Second, most states have what are called lemon laws. These protect buyers of vehicles with serious or repeated defects. If the problem is not resolved within a reasonable time frame, these laws can force the manufacturer to replace the vehicle or refund your money. The Jeep 4xe situation is particularly relevant here. 3 recalls for the same defect is exactly the kind of pattern lemon law attorneys look for. It does not apply in every situation, but it is real. And there are attorneys who specialize in this and often work on contingency, meaning you do not pay unless they win. Third, document everything. Every call, every email, every dealership visit. Write down dates, names, and what was said. If you ever pursue any kind of compensation, that paper trail is your only proof that the vehicle was unusable while you kept paying. Take screenshots, save voicemails, send certified mail, keep all of it. And fourth, the most important one, before you buy your next vehicle, go to the NHTSA website. That is the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, the federal agency that oversees vehicle safety in the United States. You can search any vehicle there to find open recalls, that is, known defects that have not been fixed across all affected vehicles yet. The information is public. It is free. It takes about 30 seconds. And it can save you from the exact nightmare you just heard about. Because there is something nobody tells you in the showroom. The loan does not take days off. The insurance does not pause. And if the car came broken from the factory, the only one who keeps paying without a break is you.